I'd like to just, welcome you to this launch of the Digital Rights and Inclusion Forum. We have a very interesting lineup of people that will share the journey of what Digital Rights and Inclusion Forum is all about, the state of digital rights in Zambia, and some of the partners will also share their experiences and their participation in this very important event. So without preempting much, we apologize for starting a little bit late, but wanted to make sure that everyone is here. I will call upon Chiti to come and give us the welcoming remarks. Thank you very much.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to all of our distinguished guests from across the Zambian technology and media space. So the last time I was in a room with our executive director, Mr. Benga Sesan, I made the mistake of introducing myself as the CEO. So I won't be making that mistake again. So just a quick introduction. My name is Chiti Mutati, and I'm the Southern Africa Programs Officer for Paradigm Initiative. And at Paradigm, we're also known as PIN quite affectionately. And our passion really is working with communities and working with our partners to connect African youths to opportunities within this evolving digital economy. And one of our initiatives, which we are so proud of, is the Digital Rights and Inclusion Forum, which we are here to talk to you about today. And essentially, we curate a platform and we curate a space for like-minded individuals all working in this African digital economy, in the global digital economy, to come together and have conversations, have breakthroughs, have discussions, and learn about the opportunities and the challenges facing all of us as we navigate this technological journey that we're on globally. And so as a Zambian, I'm really, really happy also to be able to say that the DRIF, as it's also affectionately known, will actually be in Zambia next year. And so thank you so much for joining us today. You're more than welcome as we just take you through our journey as an organization, and as well as introduce you to the Digital Rights and Inclusion Forum that we'll be hosting next year. Thank you.
I can't hear you. Well, there was a resounding sound in the conference room. I was there the day that this announcement was made, and it was absolutely amazing. We were screaming and jumping and extremely excited that DRIF was coming to Zambia, where we too have our own issues around digital rights and inclusion. And we felt that it was a great honor that we would have an event of this magnitude coming here in the midst of all the issues that we face. So when we take a moment and think about digital rights in Zambia, what really comes to your mind? What are some of the issues that we are grappling with? And I know that most of you will agree with me that we have a lot of challenges around issues of regulation. We have issues of regulation that impact on our freedom of expression. We have problems around issues of accessibility. Our internet penetration rate is still very low. Most of us know that you don't even need to go. I mean, we often say, oh, the rural areas are cut out. But even just here in Lusaka, we are struggling with the network day in, day out. So what's more in the far-flung areas? Those are some of the realities that we have to deal with. The biggest conversation we are hearing now is around artificial intelligence. So with poor infrastructure, to what extent do we think that the people who are out there will be of benefit? I mean, that AI will be of benefit to those people. So when we talk about issues of inclusion, we cannot talk about inclusion without thinking about those people that are being left out. We also have issues around our legal framework, and this is the conversation just yesterday we're having with Richard and other colleagues around the regulation that we have. I think most of us are aware that the cyber crimes and cybersecurity bill is being split into two, and it's also going to be spearheaded by two different entities. So what does that mean? Those are some of the conversations that we are supposed to be having, and DRIF provides that platform that brings different players who have had experiences. So you get to learn lessons from pioneers who have walked this path, but also people who are on the same path as you, giving you ideas and strategies and so many things. But I will not preempt too much of that because I'll be calling on someone who has so much experience, someone who inspires me a lot, and that is none other than the Executive Director of Paradigm Initiative, Benga Shesan. Please let's give him a round of applause.
Okay, it's still morning. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I didn't want to say it. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Aha, thank you so much. Thank you. Confession. When I was watching that video, I said, thank God. I made a wardrobe decision this morning. I love that top. No, not this one, the one in the video. If you see any pictures I'm taking tomorrow in Accra, you will see me in that top. And so I'm grateful that I made a choice not to wear that because, I'm a man of my wardrobe is very limited, so I have to do permutations and combinations, but I'm glad I didn't choose that. But when members of a coalition that should spearhead digital rights are the ones abusing digital rights. But again, this is the reason why DRIF happens. So that issues in our countries, in our respective countries, can be highlighted. How do we choose venues? Someone asked me that question, and I think I should say that today. As you probably all know, it's above my pay grade to decide where DRIF happens. That is decided, between the co-chairs. Judith is in the room, Tobekile, Adeboye, Adeshiri, our respective managers who make that decision. And there are many factors that come into play. One, which of course, favors Zambia, is the demonstration of a willingness to have difficult conversations. So there are countries where certain things happen, a bill is separated into two, and you can't even discuss it. I was just telling Richard that I was glad to be back in Tanzania after my 6 years of exile. I was banned from going to Tanzania for 6 years because my very good friend Magufuli, Mr. Bulldozer, I'm sure we remember him. Magufuli was not, his guys were not the most pleased for the kind of trainings we were doing in Tanzania at the time, so I was kept out for 6 years. But hey, I'm African, you can't keep an African man out of Africa for too long. Something will have to give. I eventually made it back into Tanzania. And Tanzania, of course, is a country of interest for many of us. Elections are coming next year. The president wants to put her footprint on the presidency because she was vice president. She's from Zanzibar. That brings many complications. Why do I say all those things about different countries? Gambia, Tanzania, Nigeria, by the way. Nigeria has this interesting thing of when everyone is misbehaving, Nigeria just wants to do the right thing. But when everyone else is doing the right thing, Nigeria wants to misbehave. Just yesterday, not just yesterday, last week, and we got the news yesterday, the Digital Rights and Freedom Bill that the president refused to sign in 2019 has come back. It's been picked up by a member of parliament, and it's gone through the first reading in the House of Representatives in Nigeria. And so you have all of these issues in various countries. ZICTA, data protection, cybersecurity, and all of those things are of concern in Zambia. But the reality is that while those things are of concern in one country, every other country has their own issues and lessons we can learn from them. The opportunity that DRIF presents is that we can come into the room, which is one of the reasons we opened up the space in 2016 to say, hey, wait a second. We were having this conversation in Nigeria, we were invited to Uganda, had conversations, and the idea was then, why don't we have these conversations together? So that when Zambia is at a certain space where you're going through something, whatever you've done before, Nigeria can learn from that. Tanzania can learn from Ghana. We can learn from each other, and that's one of the reasons why we're glad that Digital and Inclusion Forum has now morphed into a convening, not just for us as a continent, but also for the global south, because our issues get to be similar in certain times and spaces. And of course, that's the reason why we're glad to be working with partners. Sometime today, Judith and I think Chiti will take us through the process of unveiling our partners. Of course, you know who the partners are, because you're the ones in the room, right? It was really good to see my sister again. When I see Brenda, I know that I've been around for a while. Because she saw me and she said, "Oh wow." I said, "Yeah, time does that. Time does that, and it's interesting that we're all very interested in these issues and we're working together. Some of us, some of the organizations that we're working with for DRIF here, we've been working for so long that I could mistake some people in the room for my sibling. This guy, I was asking Chiti earlier, are you sure you believe anything he says? Because he's like my brother and he has too much fun when I'm around, so just be careful what he says. But the good thing is that we're now coming together to do this work at this important time. And I don't mean to put you under pressure, Zambia, but 2025 is a different year entirely. And I say this because three different things are coming together. The challenge to see these spaces is getting heightened. Many of us followed the global process that led eventually to the global digital compact. If Russia had its way, we would not be having the conversation we're having today. And to be honest, Russia wasn't doing that because Russia just wants to break the internet. Russia is doing that because there is geopolitics. If the US wants to do it, then Russia has to oppose it. If Russia wants to do it and China is interested, the US has to. And as a continent, as the global south, we need to move from a place where we're fighting other people's battles. And I know this is not the politically correct thing to say, but I will say it because my name is Femi Jason and I say the truth as much as I can. We cannot fight other people's battles. We have to fight the battles that will help us as a continent. I would have loved to quote the president of Kenya, but he's misbehaving right now, so I don't want to quote him. Anyway, let me quote him anyway, with a caveat that he's misbehaving. They asked him, why do you keep talking to everybody? You're talking to China, you're talking to Russia, you're talking to the US, you're talking to the UK, you're talking to Europe. And he said, well, Africa is not going to look east, Africa is not going to look west, Africa is going to look forward. And I thought to myself, that's a smart thing to say. And then he went back home and he killed young people who were protesting. What a shame. But that is one area we need to focus on next year. We have to decide to fight our own battles as a continent and call out hypocrisy where it exists. I used to be a member of the advisory network of the Freedom Online Coalition before I handed over to my colleague. And one of the questions I always asked is, what is the peer pressure that will come on a member who either shuts down the internet or does something wrong? And at least 2 members have done that. So, as a continent, we need to ask that question of Freedom Online Coalition members. Interesting enough, many of them are development partners, many of them are sponsors, but guess what? To help with a friendship that does not help both of us move well into the future. Excuse my French. That was French, please translate that. That's wrong. We need to fight our own battles. The second area that is coming together is the unbelievable interest on election manipulation. We have a lot of elections happening on the continent this year, and we have a lot more happening even next year. And there is so much interest in these elections. Yes, I know there are political foreign interests and all that, but the interesting thing also is that within the continent itself, we have to be sure that during elections, the usual bad habits of either shutting down the internet or introducing laws, and this, by the way, is even more dangerous than shutting down the internet, introducing laws that make illegal things become legal. And that's sweeping across all our countries. It was illegal to do certain things, and then you see a new bill, and the bill usually comes in names of cyber security or something about national security, and it makes what is illegal now legal. I have argued and I have asked that anyone who wants to have this public debate, I'm happy to pay my own way to go and have a debate in Addis Ababa at the AU building, that the phrase national security in Africa does not mean the protection of citizens' security. It means regime security. It means supporting and promoting and literally protecting big men and big women. So when I see national security in any bill, I'm going to fight it. When I see national security as a phrase in any policy, I'm going to question it. And I think as a people, we need to begin to ask a lot more questions, especially around special events, including elections. So we need to fight for our interests, we need to pay more attention to elections, and the third, which is even as critical, is the closing civic spaces. It was extremely easy in many countries to have this kind of conversations until it became a problem. You know, the popular joke ascribed to Field Marshal Idi Amin, that you can have freedom of speech, but the freedom after the speech is not guaranteed. And we all laughed about it and said, oh, that's Idi Amin, the last king of Scotland. But that is almost very true in many of our countries today. People are careful what they say in public. And that is not democracy. That is pretend democracy. Pretend democracy is when we say we have elections and somebody wins by 99%. I'm not going to mention Kagame's name at all. But are we children? Are we kidding? Pretend democracy is when a certain president is praised by the international media as a respecter of human rights, but back at home, we know that the moves they are making are clearly anti-democratic. I'm not going to mention names. Guess why? Because there's so many people in that bucket. There's so many people in that bucket, including people that are not far from here right now. And civic spaces, the last standing civic space we have in the global south is the digital space. And now it's being closed through cybercrime bills, through cybersecurity policies that do not sit with agencies that are transparent enough and that you can see. When Nigeria made that move and transferred certain functions to the Office of the National Security Advisor, we spoke up very quickly. Because many times, it is easier to talk to an agency you can see. But once something is moved to an agency that you can't see, it becomes a problem. It means that when someone whose voice is very loud is picked up, you don't even know where they are. At some point in many countries where we work, we get involved in looking for activists who have been picked up by usually plainclothes people. You ask one agency, they say, no, they're not with us. And it's a thing they've now perfected. So that eventually, by the time you find the person, it's Friday, and you can't go to court to get them released. There are many issues. But next year, April 29 to May 1, we will all gather here in Lusaka, Zambia. You are the first people on earth, and I'm not kidding. You're the first people on earth, okay, apart from my colleagues in the office. But you're the first people who are getting the taste of what the theme for next year will be. We haven't even announced this, am I right? Judith, we haven't announced it. I can't see anything. How does anybody just cope with this thing? Have we announced this publicly, the theme? We haven't. You know, all this light in your face, and you're supposed to see people and talk. Yeah. DRIF 25, you're also the first to see the new logo. I don't know if everyone can see that stand right there. DRIF 25. The theme, promoting digital Ubuntu in approaches to technology. All things being equal, I'm sure, well, not all things being equal, all things are now already equal. We'll be gathering at Mulumbushi International Conference Center, April 29 to May 1 next year. And we will be discussing many things, including the three things I highlighted earlier. The need for us to fight our own battles and not proxy wars. There's nobody who gets involved in proxy wars ever survives. You become fodder for other people's battles. And the need to make sure that elections and other important events will pay attention to the things that happen around them. And the third, which is very dear to my heart, which is why I switch into activism mode very quickly, is the need to protect civic spaces. Because if we're not careful, in the next 5 years, you won't even know who to trust. People that you work with, you won't even criticize a good person beside them. Because the next thing you realize is, like they did to one of my friends, a few thousands of kilometers away from here. She slept and then she woke up in the morning and then her dog, this is very interesting, right? Let's mention him, Zimbabwe. She got to her front door and the front door was gone. So they did not do anything to her, they didn't do anything, but they just left a message. We know your home address and we can take your door at any point. She left the next day for Nairobi. Because the message can't be any stronger. Your front door is gone. No, the message can't be any stronger. Like, we know where you are, we'll get you when we're ready. So next year we will gather to discuss this, and like I said, not to put Zambia under pressure, but I want to look in your faces, beginning from Chiti, my CEO in Southern Africa. You can't escape from that. When she said it, I was like, don't feel bad about it. You're the CEO for Southern Africa for me, so own it. And if you want my seat, come for it. As long as we don't exchange the salaries, just do the work. And then we get all the allowances. I don't mind. And I'm looking at the Zambian faces in the room to say, no pressure. My colleagues know when I say no pressure, it's because I'm feeling some pressure. And I'm just trying to encourage myself. No pressure, but there is a lot that needs to happen in Zambia. Number one is that you have a reputation for respect of rights relative to other places. And you need to fight for that. You need to fight for that. And we're with you. Not only because we have an office in Zambia, but because if something goes wrong with the countries that we use as good examples, then we are all loyally, what's the English word? I don't want to use a French word. We're all royally taken care of. So please, and I'm not saying this because you're hosting DRIF, I'm saying this because you are an example in many spheres. You're an example in having robust conversations. Unlike certain countries where when they are changing the bill, you just hear that they are going to change the bill, and the next thing is that it is law. And you see a picture of the president standing in law, and you're like, when again did we have this conversation? At least here, you're having the conversation, and it's important to keep it robust. This is the time when civil society must collaborate better. This is one elephant I don't like touching a lot. This thing called collaboration. We say a lot about it, and it's very rosy and sexy to talk about collaboration, but the nitty-gritty of the details, when there is a power play, when there is a resource fight, we will need to mature and stop being kids when it comes to collaboration and work better together. We need to put our egos outside the room. Oh yes, I know.
So see, Susan, I didn't know, until this morning, I didn't know that, I didn't take serious that saying that there's no free lunch. We came to a podium like this one, you have to clarify. And that president, his president is small like a pea. My president is the capital of legacy. And in view of that, I noticed how Judith is very good at communications. She knew, everybody, the Zambians, we know that in Zambia, they say that when the king is around, please don't say a lot of things, you may end up insulting the king. So Judith just used the video to communicate everything that she needed to say. Because the CEO is around and she may end up saying, I'm the CEO in Kenya, and then you have two CEOs, and so like, who is the CEO? And he's a guy who signs your pay, and it has all those risks. So yeah, it's a good thing that we're having this. And what I was trying to say is that we exist in a liberal environment, and just how we can call each other CEO of Southern Africa, and there's a bigger CEO with a capital C. It demonstrates what our aspirations are. We are in this kind of way to talk about freedom. We produced a song, and I'm sorry, Becca, during the Lusaka put up, I didn't invite you to dance with us. I know you love to dance when the sun is not there. We did a song, it's called A Cyber Soldier, but I wrote the song, it's a very good song, and we call it, I call it Internet Freedom Fighter. Why? Because sometimes guys like everybody in the room, we are freedom fighters in our own way. Kwame Nkrumah, the Kenneth Kaunda. I don't know in Nigeria guys if you have any freedom fighters, but in Kenya, you have freedom fighters in Kenya, in Nigeria. The freedom fighters of the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, the ones that brought liberation to the continent, and everybody else. But we have found ourselves in this digital era where we're not fighting for freedom. Every morning we wake up, we have to fight for freedom. We have to fight for freedom in a new context. And you're aware of the digital authoritarianism that is going on in the continent, that democracy is under attack everywhere. African democracy is what I'm referring to. That in Nigeria, the bill that Becca talked about and the struggle they went through. In Kenya, the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act. And I think they're also splitting the bill into two, like what is going on in Zambia. Zimbabwe, don't even mention it. I'm glad Becca in your speech, you never mentioned Zambia or gave it as a bad example in any of your speech. Because the last time I was in Zimbabwe, when I gave Zimbabwe as an example in a different context, somebody asked me if I was very sure that I still want to go back to Zambia safely. So I'm not threatening you, but I'm just happy that you knew. That guys like Becca, they cannot go to certain jurisdictions like Tanzania, merely for calling for freedom. If you come to our office at Bloggers of Zambia, we have the most urgent thing. We have a plaque that goes out of into our office. Most important, the most urgent thing in our lives is freedom. That's why we are here. Try to spend a minute without freedom in the police cells, under police detention. Then you understand why freedom is the most urgent thing. And this is what we are fighting for. This is why, like Ben, this is Judith, have to come all the way from Kenya to come and do this kind of thing. But we don't realize that our freedom, the freedom that we fight for now, in this digital economy, it is because of the internet. And this is why Russia keeps being mentioned and China. And this is why we are happy that we should fight our own freedom. We should fight for our own democracy, African democracy. The internet is a global phenomenon. And this is why you have seen the geopolitics. Other people are trying to start their own internet to control Africa, which has got the majority of the resources that are developed in Europe and America and other places. The Democratic Republic of Congo is the world's biggest supplier of all the mineral that is needed in our cell phones. But look at how poor, how divided, and how war-torn that country is. And this is what Becca was talking about. That let us fight our own fight. I was amazed the other year that there was this call that Africa must fight its own fights. But we had 5 African presidents who went to fight for a war in Russia. This is what Becca was saying, that we must fight our own freedom. In Zambia, we have that saying, for Becca and Judith, it means that don't fight another person's fight. You go to a pub and 2 guys are fighting and you take off your jacket to join the fight, you come out without teeth. So when Russia and America are fighting in China, why are we fighting that war and for what? And this is why we are perpetuating our underdevelopment. We don't even know which policies, which best practices when it comes to internet governance or the digital rights landscape that we want to follow, because we don't know what we stand for. And this is what was coming out from Benga. So for us, we are happy that the Digital Rights and Inclusion Forum is going to be happening in Lusaka. And I remember telling Tobekile, she's not here. I remember I also told Boye, who is like the real Benga sibling, I'm just a fake, that this is going to be the mother of all DRIFs. Because in Zambia, what we touch, it usually blossoms. We are usually a small team of digital rights organizations, but we are on a big mission. And they say that dynamite comes in small packages. I think you will confess that all these experiences we had in West Africa, I remember we were together in Zimbabwe, we were together in Ghana last year, Kenya, the 24, all those experiences, Zambia is the real Africa. Zambia is going to be explosive. And it's because of what is going on that the digital transformation is very rapid. And it is so rapid that many citizens do not understand that the platformization, what I call platformization that is going on, that even breathing now, we will need an app. You want to get anything, you have to get an application. The government is taking its services on the internet. The churches even collecting offertory now. I think there's a church in Lusaka where they just take the, what is that, the POS machine, and then you just tap, isn't it? So, but how many people have got access to the internet? How many people actually know how to tap? How many people actually are aware of the securities on all these platforms where we're interacting? Our friends, and I like the inclusion part in DRIF, that is the biggest thing like for us as bloggers in Zambia, that persons living with disability, how are they fitting into this transformation? How are we speaking to the vision 2030 that you're leaving no one behind? Because if you go to the rural areas, if you go to Kalingalinga, the townships that we have, people do not understand what we're discussing. Then we cannot have a conversation if the majority of Africans, if the majority of Zambians are actually not aware of what we are discussing. And we're making laws, we're making policies, but we are lagging behind when it comes to inclusion, when it comes to literacy, when it comes to skills, when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship. The young people have the zeal and they're using this platform to do their errands. But we are creating policies that are actually reversing these gains that we want to achieve. I'm glad Benga pointed to the fact that Zambia is used in good examples when you go to Ethiopia at the African Union, that Zambia is seemingly going in the right direction when it comes to the 5 pillars that we have identified even in Zambia and at African Union level in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation, infrastructure, rollout, and penetration, and then also law and policy development. Very good. But how is our conduct? How is our attitude towards these things? Because we don't even know what happened during our elections in 2021 between August 12 and August 14. There was social media blockade. We don't have a law in Zambia that facilitates for that. But also that is parallel to the Constitution, Article 21, on the expression, especially. Internet access is a human right. So when it is blocked, it is sitting on my fundamental human rights, for example, access to information. We have a lot of processes that are going on that we support legislation. We support that SIM card registration must be resilient because it is one of those processes that is actually facilitating for scamming and depriving citizens of their digital assets. But what are we doing? We are actually making the process invasive. Article 17 of our Constitution in Zambia guarantees and protects the right to privacy. We are going in the right direction. Modeling best practices from Rwanda, I think Benga didn't want to mention Tagami. For example, the artificial intelligence and the digital platform for tax management under the Zambia Revenue Authority. So it's a good platform. But how many people are able to use it? What are the requirements, and how have we prepared citizens to be able to interact on those functions? That is where we need to be resilient. But I also talk about some unpopular things as I continue, the good, the bad, and the ugly things that I want. We have heard the story of Pegasus, that Zambia has been mentioned, one among the 4 countries where Pegasus, where Zambia has purchased spying software, Pegasus, and it has been deployed. It could be on our mobile phones as we speak. It could be on your phone, because I interact with you in the phones and all that. We have to talk about that how is it taking away, or how is it contributing to the digitalization, to the inclusion? How is it contributing to the digital Ubuntu, according to the theme? So when we talk about these things, it's not that we are troublemakers. We want to contribute to a strong, resilient, and inclusive internet ecosystem. One that is accessible, that is affordable, that is trusted for everybody. We are talking about having gone to all these platforms to attend DRIF. It's not for tourism purposes. We go to learn best practices. The problem. So that's why we are happy about DRIF. And DRIF is not a global baby only. It's an African baby, but it's a Zambian baby. That brings all the people from around the world to come and inform and educate and raise awareness about these things that we want to do. That citizens can build the critical mass to influence our legislators, to influence our policymakers, what kind of laws and policies we want to speak to the digitalization that is going on. That citizens must be on the guard to look at the enforcement of digital policies and how they protect citizens, and not how these laws should be used to arrest those that are critical voices and those that seemingly have oppositional standpoints. And this is what we are seeing. It has been referred to by Brenda, who, by the way, even like Brenda, I can even say like they are the Robert Mugabe of the digital rights. You know, all the Museveni. So, yeah, the Museveni of they're consistent. If you go to, you see that timeline, Uganda's independence, 1984. There's only one consistent portrait. That is Beck and even Brenda over there. I Brenda, the Robert Mugabe and Museveni of this movement. Networking and collaboration is what we need. And we must not be ostracizing each other. For me, I'm a Zambian, and I will always speak from the Zambian standpoint, our experiences. That there are people who may have voices like mine, and the Susans and everybody else. So if you don't like what I'm pushing, what advocacy I'm doing, it doesn't mean that I must not be at the table, that we must be blacklisted from being present in certain rooms. We are shooting ourselves. The digital transformation that we want to achieve, the platformization, is not going to work, it will not be effective, because many people are going to be left behind. This idea of only looking at security, and for people like Susan that are talking about people's freedoms to express themselves, to network, to access, to impart different ideas using technology. It doesn't mean that they must be ostracized, that they must not be part of certain processes. And what we are discussing here in Zambia, it is the same thing that is happening all over Sub-Saharan Africa. I think Bega is not like in certain places in Nigeria. Judith will also tell you that there is even a latest arrest yesterday or the other day when one of our colleagues was arrested in Kenya. It doesn't mean we're troublemakers. We are the Nyereres. We are the Lusaka. No, Obasanjo is not the freedom fighter. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, we are the Kenneth Kaundas of the digital era. We are fighting for freedom. We are fighting for our rights. Because if we don't speak the way I'm speaking, the civic space is going to grow smaller and smaller, and we are not going to have freedom to move around and to exist as human beings. So that's why we like the Ubuntu approaches to technology. I put a timer. I have spoken for 17 minutes, but in the interest of time, because Becca has to go, Teresa, the ISO chairperson, the vice president, she has to get back to her desk, and everybody. But I just wanted to annoy you with these things that we are happy that a DRIF is happening in Lusaka, and it's going to be the mother of all DRIFs. The DRIFs that have happened in the past, and the DRIFs, we're setting the standards. And the DRIFs that are going to happen after 25, they have to match the standards that we are setting in 2025. And it's a good thing for Zambia that DRIF is coming, because it will contribute to marketing of our country, of our tourism. I know Benga is more Zimbabwean than he wants to be Zambia. But you see, we are going to have global citizens, and I think even our authorities are marketing. I think there's what is it, 3 million tourists or 2 million tourists by the end of 2024. So the DRIF 25 is going to contribute to tourism development in Zambia. It's going to contribute to spotlighting on Zambia. I think after 2021, we have seen big international convenings happening in Zambia. And I think it is seemingly because of the environment where we are coming from and where we are, where we have our leadership that is speaking pro-democracy, but we are yet to see more action in terms of changing laws and everything else. But just the pronouncements, I think, have contributed. And I think this is why the Paradigm team have decided to come to Zambia in 25, and we should leverage this opportunity as a country to take ourselves forward and to be able to learn and engage so that we are able to demand for our opportunities using the best practices that we're going to learn. Thank you very much, Susan. I want to thank you. Please, if you want to clap for me, it was on my breakfast. I didn't buy it.
Please give him another round of applause. Thank you very much, Richard, for those remarks. A lot of thought-provoking points that you have put out. And without taking too much time, because you did, I'm going to move over to the next partner, Ms. Brenda Zulu from Internews. She'll be giving us some remarks as well as one of the partners. Please, a round of applause.
Got it.
Okay, I noticed we did not introduce ourselves, but I know most of you. And thank you so much for inviting us. Yeah. So my name, for those who don't know me, my name is Brenda Zulu. I am the Digital Rights Coordinator for USAID Open Spaces project at Internews Network Zambia. So Tauda Mawarire, the Chief of Party, and Meg Piri, our Program Manager. They are out of the country and attending an equally important meeting. They send their greetings and extend our gratitude as Internews to Paradigm Initiative and all partnering organizations for selecting Zambia as a host country for DRIF 2025. So this decision is actually very important for Zambia in advancing digital rights and at national, sub-regional, regional, and global levels. We believe that this decision will highlight the power of collaboration that Gibenga was talking about. So Internews, just a little information about Internews. It is implementing the USAID-funded Open Spaces project with partners such as Bloggers of Zambia, MISA Zambia, and PANOS, and has been working to, one, strengthen and promote a viable independent media, and then under objective 2, promote digital literacy and the cyber secure users and inclusive online spaces engagement. And then also under Objective 3, to strengthen enabling environment for independent and new media. So at national level, Internews is implementing the project to support an open, inclusive environment in which media and civil society provides accurate and impartial information that promotes participation, inclusion, and accountability. So the project is funded by USAID and implemented by Internews in partnership with FHI 360. So we are honored to be part of this initiative and look forward to supporting DRIF 2025 with impactful contributions. So I am pleased to announce that Internews will deliver a series of masterclasses designed to equip participants with practical knowledge and skills in vital areas such as AI, which is one of the emerging technologies, cybersecurity, data protection, surveillance, information integrity, verification, hate speech, digital safety with a focus on empowering women and girls. These master classes will also address inclusion as a key pillar, emphasizing the need to create safer and more accessible digital spaces for everyone. Additionally, as part of the exhibition, Internews will offer a digital clinic. This digital clinic is a hands-on interactive experience where participants can receive personalized guidance on digital safety practices, ask questions and explore tools to enhance their digital security. As you already know, Zambia has been impacted by severe drought. I'm happy that it is raining outside. This is like day what? Is it day 3 raining? Yes. And it is important that Internews also conducts a masterclass on climate change. We are grateful for the partnership and the opportunity to contribute to this event. Together we can make DRIF 25 a powerful platform for advancing digital rights and inclusion in Zambia and beyond. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Paradigm Initiative, for this invitation.
Okay, at this point, we'll be moving on to the unveiling of the partners. I know that there are some people who may not know who the partners are. So I will hand over to Benga just to briefly tell us why you work with partners and just, before we unveil the partners. Thank you.
All right. Why do we work with partners? 2 are better than 1, and I think that is not theory, that is practice. We work with partners because Paradigm Initiative has a philosophy of never, ever, ever becoming that institution that arrogantly believes that it can do everything by itself. I've always believed, even while I wasn't working at Paradigm Initiative, I've always believed that no organization can be so resourced that they solve all the problems by themselves. You'll be self-deceiving if you ever think that you have enough resources to solve all problems. So we work with partners, number 1, because we believe very strongly that when you work in any particular area, there are people who hold and see many sides of what is happening. We are not unaware of the fact that there are people who have been working on related issues for a very long time in the spaces where we go to. And so with respect, we approach them to say, please come and work with us. And we've been fortunate, to be honest. I don't know that we've ever asked anyone to partner with us for DRIF, and they've said no. And I'm thinking carefully now so that I won't be lying. But even if I'm lying, you will never know. but I don't have any recollection. I'm looking at Judith. Okay, she's not correcting me, so I'm right. We haven't had a scenario where someone says, yeah, we don't want to work with you. Almost always it's enthusiastic. when we went to Ghana this year, the same thing that Richard promised, like we're going to give you in fact, every other event will create a need, we'll have to follow this. That's what, the Ghanaians promised. And guess what? We went to Ghana, and I think that many of you, were with us in Accra, and you saw the difference. Same thing the Kenyans promised the year before, and I'm sure you saw how, things just keep going. So we can't wait to see what Zambia will deliver, and then we'll see where next we're going. So that's the reason why we work with partners. I'm sure we all know the story of the elephant and the visually impaired men and women. You can't say blind men anymore. You have to say it properly. Visually impaired men and women. Please, for those who share that joke, remember, update the joke. It is no longer about blind men. It's about visually impaired men and women. And others who choose not to identify their gender, I guess. Someone touched the tail of the elephant and said, oh, it's a snake. Someone touched the side and said it's a wall. Someone touched the trunk and said, oh my God, this thing is so big, it's like a rope. And they were all right. So the reason we work with partners is because different people see different sides. And we want to bring the collective together. If you don't bring the vision of these men and women together, you would never understand that what you're looking at is an elephant. We want an elephant. We don't want a snake. We don't want a wall. We want an elephant for DRIF, and that's why we work with partners. Also, because we believe that any time, and this is something you can check, every time we work with partners for DRIF, somehow we become better and they become better. In some cases, there is a spotlight on those partners. There is increased media attention. In some cases, we've been told there are additional resources that come to those partners, but it is both ways. They get new opportunities. We also get the vision fulfilled and new opportunities. So we're very excited to unveil the partners for DRIF 2025. Like I said earlier, this is not a reveal that many of you in the room are not already aware of. I don't know if I'm the one who is going to announce, or if a video is going to play, or if things are going to change, but I also look forward to seeing the partners. All right. Ministry of Technology and Science in Zambia. Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority. Zambia, yes, please, put your hands together. Zambian Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation, Internet Society Zambia, Bloggers of Zambia, Common Cause Zambia, Internews Zambia. Is there more? All right. And ladies and gentlemen, those are the partners who have said yes. Thank you for the announcements you did not make and that you made. You've already promised the biggest, and I'm going to go back and tell my colleagues that we had 600 people in Accra, that Richard has said we're going to have more than 800. We're going to have a space problem at DRIF 25. So that's what Bloggers of Zambia have already promised. Internews, thank you. I wrote those two things down, the master classes and the other desks that you've promised, and we really, really appreciate that. And for all the partners, we look forward to everything that you will come with. And I please plead with you. We're going into this as partners. If there is anything, anything whatsoever that you believe we can do to make this better, either our approach or, even the necessity of respect for your own expertise and understanding that you already have before we came to knock on your door, we'll be more than happy, to celebrate that, because our vision is that by the time we're doing the next one, that the lessons we learn from partners for this year can also be included on the benefits that partners will get for 2026 and 27 and 28 and DRIF 2063. which I will not be present for. Unfortunately, I'm announcing in advance that I'll miss DRIF 2063 because on that day, I think I will probably be somewhere, maybe sipping coffee and watching virtually. I don't know if anyone saw the new video. There's a popular video circulating now of the child that told the parents, it's a movie by the way, but people thought it was real, that she wants to upload herself. She's tired of this human body. And there's a place in Switzerland that they allow you to upload yourself so that you can live forever. And the parents said, what will happen to your body? She said, oh, it will be recycled into the earth to give it nutrition. And I said to myself, I don't think I want to be around when we begin to upload and download bodies. Good old days of ICT for D, we did not know that these AI things will happen. But we do celebrate all those things. And again, meet the new DRIF logo. It will be consistent going forward. And I know that there will be some communication behind it, but don't miss the arrow. That's an arrow shooting into the future. For me personally, comms they haven't told me this, but for me the arrow means two things. Number one, it means the vision into the future. And number two, what do arrows tell you about African history? Those are the weapons we use to chase colonialists away. We will fight. We will fight oppression wherever it presents itself, even amongst ourselves. And I think this is where many of our leaders sort of missed it. They were freedom fighters, and then they were surrounded by psychopaths, and no one could fight them. They would eliminate such people. So please and please and please, if amongst ourselves there are certain habits or attitudes or even conversations that you find beginning to sound like oppressors, please call it out and let's all become better together. Ladies and gentlemen, DRIF 25 partners, please put your hands together and say thank you to everyone. And I'll hand over to one of our partners who represents a partner and is also today's compere and fast becoming one of the most popular compares for digitalized events in the continent. Don't forget that I am your friend. When this becomes commercially viable, I am one of the first investors.
All right.
Even if only in words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you very much. We are coming to the end of our program now, but before I hand over to the last speaker, I would like to just pass a mic around the room so that we know who is present in the room. So we'll introduce ourselves and the organization that we are coming from. We'll do it very quickly. I know that it's weird that we're doing an introduction at the end, but it's still very important for us to know. I'm going to invite Judith from Paradigm Initiative to give us a vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Is it on? Is it on? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, first and foremost, I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for honoring our invitation and for joining us this cold morning. It was raining, I know it was cold, but you got out of your blankets, kicked them out, and decided to join us today, and you've given us some hours of your best part of the day. So we want to say thank you very much. To our partners, to our participants, it was really nice to host you, and we even look forward to hosting you at the DRIF events, which will be bigger, which will have a lot more of us. And we are looking forward to experience the Zambian culture, the Zambian people, the Zambian food, and just visit wherever we can, and just to see what you guys have to offer. I know we've had these DRIF events in different parts of Africa, and I'm sure this is gonna be another part of Africa that is gonna give us an experience to just feel Africa more. And as the theme says, it resonates with who we are as a people on the continent, and I'm sure we are going to benefit from each other, and we are going to grow together, and we are going to build each other. So thank you all very much, and I wish you all a nice rest of the day.